Now this is a photo I took out toward Rio Hondo, and you see the mountain is sort of faded into the background a little bit, but it's big. So I decided I liked that big shape, with the sky. The sky ends about here, and then kind of tucking this little adobe house and the trees there, and then having all these wonderful fall grasses with the sage up in the front. So let's see what we can do with this one. And I'll be again kind of demonstrating using some wet into wet and then dry, and possibly changing some colors. I don't know. I'll just kind of go with with where it takes me. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's put I have a little lilac here that I tucked here. And I'm going to throw that in here with my mountain. We're going to see what happens. Maybe I want a little bit of the light showing on the mountain, and I think I'll kind of keep it this violet tone. Doesn't matter if I come over my trees, because I drew my trees here, and you probably can't see the sketch that much, but it's there. So we'll kind of do this. Get that in there. Come down over the trees, because the trees are going to be dark, so they can go over any of this color and not create a problem. You don't have to paint it like it's a jigsaw puzzle and paint one color over the next. Okay, so we have that, and while that is drying, maybe I'll come down here and start the grasses. Just kind of paint all over the place here. I like the golden color on those. And I have to keep in mind, and I'm going to use a little Jaune Brouillon, keep in mind that these light greens are here. There's all these bushes in the front, like this. See this? Okay. So I'm going to paint along here while that upper part is drying. I can bring a little orange in, maybe not so dark. About a little. Okay, so I'm kind of running down into my greens here, which I'm going to use my compost green while this is wet. And just kind of paint along. Put some of that in there. Just let it run together. Okay, little. I'm going to bring a little of my Jaune Brouillon over here. These grasses sort of have this not so yellow, but kind of pinkish color to them. I kind of like that. So I'm going to bring this down here. Yellow, red, orange, and some yellow ochre. Changing some of these colors, letting them run together, little orange, little yellow. And just coloring the area of my paper here where I want this color to be. Okay, and then let's go back and get some more green. When I'm not painting, I'm not too concerned about getting every detail, every stick or piece of grass where it should be. I'm not trying to draw all the different grasses. I'm just kind of painting an area. See, bring my green in there. It'll go right over this. So if I want some green down here, I can bring it right down there. Let it run in. Bring it over here. Vary it a little bit. Maybe I want a little yellow green in there. So I pick up some green gold. Throw that in there. There's some yellow greens over in here. Kind of fun. Okay. Because all these bushes and grasses are intermixed with each other. And so what you're trying to do is give an impression of that happening. Not painting every little bush. Okay, there's some there. Okay, let's maybe a few pieces down in here. Let it run in there. Okay, so some of this is still wet, and maybe I could just take a little green. I'm going to take a little green, olive green, and I'm going to bring a little of that in there while this is still wet. Not on all of them. Because then it starts looking like a little bush and a little one here and here. You want to kind of keep going with a rhythm across the paper. And some of these areas are a little drier, and I don't have much water on my brush, and so I can even make lines on the wet paper that kind of give the impression of maybe some grasses or whatever. There's a little bit of brown in there, but I don't want to do a whole lot, but just a little here and there. Add a little color, a little reddish tone into those bushes, which is kind of fun because it's the complement. So we'll put that over there. Wherever I think it should be. I'll get a little. Okay, so while it's still wet, I might be able to do this. I can drag some grasses up in. It's not real wet. It's kind of drying, but just wet enough that I can do this. Sometimes you think, will it work? So you just experiment. When we get that too wet. what I'm doing is just pulling that brush across that green and adding some of these marks. Some of it kind of gets, it kind of washes out into the green, and some of it doesn't. So it kind of gives you all these different grassy textures that you might not be able to get any other way. So I'm going to just kind of play with this a little bit because it's fun. So I get all the water out of my brush before I do this, and I push this up. I have just the paint on the brush, hardly any water, and so it pushes into that green, which is still wet, and pushes it aside. So I'm not trying to be super realistic or anything. I'm just kind of looking at where the grasses are in my photo and giving an impression of them. A little more orange across there. So that's fun. I don't want all these dark bits in here. They're too dark, and they're going to create like these dots across my painting that aren't going to work well. So most of it's going to stay in this value range. Okay. So let's go back up to the mountain. I'm going to take some Veriter blue. I think I can get the green out of my brush. With a little violet, like that. So there we got the violet, and I'm going to then, kind of paint in some of this color. I'm going to leave some of this pink showing in places, or I think I am. So we'll see what happens. Get that violet in there. Again, I don't have to worry about the trees. Trees are going to be darker. So I can paint over them. Okay. So I'm just trying to get this one wash across this mountain. I'm not trying to get, stop and get any detail in or anything. Just kind of letting it wherever I feel like it should be. And eventually I'll put maybe a darker color here. well, probably of blue. I kind of like that. There's a little place up here that's a little darker than the rest, and it kind of has a nice look, and we'll see. So just keep painting this along, leaving the pink where I need to leave it. Letting the watercolor kind of do its thing. Okay, so we'll have this all bluish and violet down here. Get my Jaune Brilliant, add a little red to it. And I will paint my little adobe house here. I'll pretty much just paint it all the same color for now. I'm not painting the light side and the dark side. I'll paint the dark side over this. Okay, there's a bit. I'm going to make that into a wall in my photo that looks like it's a deck. So I'll get the other colors in there, but right now that's what I need that to put that in there. So, all right, so. Well, as paint's doing stuff, I might just let it do it. All right, so this is where I'm stopping. I have left this fairly light down here relative to some of the darks that are in here. Do you see those darks? I did not put them in because otherwise I would have dots across my painting. I could paint this fairly fast because I just put the greens in, let them run against the oranges, the yellow ochre, and the yellows. And then this is compost green, and some of it has a little bit of green gold. And then I took the olive green and I did this. Then, as you saw, I let it kind of get, it was still wet, but it wasn't glossy wet. And then I took my brush, and by picking up the yellows, I could then, without much water in the brush, push the paint through the bushes and sort of get a feeling of grasses. You know, you think about this as you're going along and you just do it. Okay, so anyhow, my darkest darks are here around my little adobe house, and the mountain is a big shape behind the house, which makes it interesting. So you could paint this without putting any detail at all and just paint it as one big flat shape with the sky as a flat shape. That would be exciting too, but I did it this way for this painting. If I do it again, I just might do that. Leave that mountain a nice washy, beautiful wash of a shape. Okay, so that's this painting. I hope you picked up a few things from it. Look at the edges when you go wet against wet, and you don't use a lot of water, but you use When the paper is wet on one side, you use less water and push that color up in there. You'll get these nice edges, nice soft edges that look like, and you can kind of drop the paint in and make it look like it's supposed to be these little grasses and bushes. Okay, so that's it for this painting, and we'll see what I do tomorrow. Okay, bye. All right, so after I studied this one for a little while and looked at the background, the way the sky was, the way the mountain was, I decided it was all too very light. In my photograph, it was light, like this, and so I thought, well, I'll try that, give it a misty look. Well, that didn't appeal to me after I looked at it, and I showed it to you at the end of the painting. After following through with the painting and painting the mountain, the sky, the bushes, and so forth, then a day later, this is what happened. I looked at it and went, I'm not happy. I want to change it. So this is what it is now.